The Grand Hall of the Galactic Congress was a coliseum of alien pride and ancient grudges. Towering spires of shimmering crystal reflected a kaleidoscope of light as delegates from hundreds of species took their places. The air was thick with the hum of countless languages, mingling in a cacophony of expectation and disdain. At the center stood Earth's delegation, small, fragile, but unyielding. Ambassador Celine Cade, a human woman in her mid-30s, stood alone at the podium, her voice steady but tinged with urgency. Her words echoed through the chamber. "We stand on the precipice of annihilation. The Terran fleet is outnumbered, outgunned, and exhausted. We ask for aid, ships, supplies, a chance to survive." Her plea fell on deaf ears. Across the chamber, the cold-eyed Crocsthar representative sneered, his mandibles clicking with contempt. "Earth is a threat to the balance. Your species expanded recklessly, violating treaties. We cannot endorse your continued aggression." Murmurs rippled through the crowd. The alien politicians, long wary of humanity's explosive growth and volatile nature, had waited for this moment. Many saw Earth as a dangerous liability, an unpredictable spark that could ignite interstellar war. Celine's gaze scanned the assembly. She caught the tired eyes of the Lyran delegate, a smaller species who had once been Earth's ally, now looking away, torn between sympathy and political survival. The vote was called. One by one, delegates cast their judgment, a resounding chorus of no. The message was clear. Earth was forsaken. Celine's hands clenched the podium. The chamber erupted into chaotic debate as the ruling was finalized. Earth's diplomats were stripped of their seats, their pleas dismissed as reckless. Security droids escorted them out, their faces a mixture of fury and disbelief. Outside the Congress, under the shadow of colossal starships, Captain Marcus Vall of the Terran fleet paced the deck of the Indomitable. His ship, once a beacon of human might, now bore scars of countless battles. He stared out at the stars, clenched fists trembling. "Forsaken," he whispered, "abandoned by those we called allies." The fleet was battered, outnumbered, but far from broken. Deep beneath the surface, engineers and scientists worked feverishly, retrofitting ships with forbidden technologies scavenged from battlefields. Vall's plan was reckless, but it was their only hope. In secret, the Terran fleet vanished from known space. As the last flicker of Earth's beacon faded from Congress sensors, a chilling silence fell over the galaxy. "Remember this day," Vall said to his officers, voice cold steel. "We will return, and when we do, no one will stand in our way." The halls of the Galactic Congress buzzed with disbelief and relief, until distant stars flickered, and the shadow of a returning storm began to gather. The surface of Earth was a ghostly ruin. Decades after the Hylian Accord betrayed them, the planet lay smoldering beneath a thick pall of toxic clouds. Cities once teeming with life were now skeletal husks, their glass towers shattered, streets cracked and empty. Radiation storms swept the barren landscapes, and the oceans were poisoned beyond repair. In this graveyard world, a single ship cut through the choking atmosphere like a silver arrow. The Ardent Hope was a battered explorer's vessel, barely functional after years lost in the outer reaches. Its pilot, Lieutenant Mira Jansen, squinted through the cracked viewport as the ground rushed closer. Her mission was clear: find any sign of surviving humanity. The Galactic Congress had declared Earth a dead zone, but rumors persisted. Mira landed near what had once been the sprawling metropolis of New Chicago. Ash swirled around her as she donned her environmental suit and stepped into the silent streets. The air was thick with decay and memories. Her boots crunched on shattered glass and twisted metal. Every building whispered stories of lives abruptly ended, families torn apart. But beneath the rubble, something stirred. In the ruins of an old underground research facility, Mira found it, a hidden base, long forgotten by the galaxy. The door slid open with a hiss, revealing flickering lights and dormant consoles. The faint glow of a holographic map blinked on, centered on the Sol system. As Mira scanned the data, her pulse quickened. The base held encrypted messages, star charts, and schematics for advanced weaponry, technology the Congress had never seen. It was a blueprint for Earth's resurrection. Her comm crackled. "Lieutenant, you reading this? We got movement outside." Mira's heart skipped. Alien scouts, Congress spies, had found the base. She raced to download the data, fingers flying over holographic keys. Outside, shadows shifted as figures approached. She activated the base's defense protocols, walls glowing with energy barriers. A burst of plasma tore through the air. Mira dove behind a console, breathing hard. The battle was sudden and fierce, but the base's automated turrets kept the enemy at bay. Minutes later, the intruders retreated, defeated but not destroyed. Mira glanced at the decrypted files. Messages from the Council of Cinders, Earth's secret leadership, rallying humanity in exile. They spoke of plans to reclaim their place, of the Terran fleet's hidden rebirth beyond the galaxy's edge. "This isn't over," she whispered, eyes blazing with newfound hope. Back aboard the Ardent Hope, Mira transmitted her findings to the scattered human enclaves still hiding in the void. Somewhere out there, the Terran fleet was stirring. Far from the decimated Sol system, in the cold silence of deep space, ancient warships hummed to life. Systems once dark blinked on. A signal pulsed, a heartbeat of vengeance. The galaxy's forgotten warriors were awakening, and Earth was no longer silent. On the lush world of Arze Prime, the morning sun cast golden light over sprawling jungles and towering spires of iridescent crystal. The Arze people, proud and ancient, had long considered themselves the galaxy's stabilizers, keepers of peace and order. But that morning, peace shattered. Without warning, a shockwave tore through the atmosphere, vaporizing cities and forests in an instant. The ground quaked as massive energy beams scorched the planet's surface, turning oceans to steam and mountains to rubble. Arze Prime was no more. From orbit, the remains of the planet were a smoldering ruin, a cracked core exposed like a wound in the cosmos. Far beyond the shattered world, a colossal warship drifted silently, its black hull absorbing the light of dying stars. The vessel's shape was unmistakable, sleek, angular, and terrifyingly human. The Terran fleet had returned. Aboard the Indomitable, Captain Marcus Fall watched the devastation through tactical displays, his face grim but resolute. "We warned them," he said, voice low and unyielding. Back on the shattered surface, surviving Arze scattered among the ruins, desperate to understand the nightmare that had descended without warning. Their historians scrambled to piece together the symbols etched into the warship's hull. A symbol they recognized but never expected to see again. Earth's ancient emblem, the Phoenix rising. The Galactic Congress erupted into chaos. News of Arze Prime's destruction spread like wildfire, igniting fear across the stars. Emergency sessions convened in frantic haste, but no plan could stop the spreading panic. The once unified Congress was fracturing, with members questioning how humanity could strike so quickly, with such devastating power. In a secret chamber beneath the Congress's capital, High Counselor Trebix slammed his fist on the table. "How is this possible? The Terran fleet was decimated. We buried them. We underestimated them," his aide admitted, eyes wide. "Our intelligence missed their rebirth. They'd been hiding, rebuilding, advancing." Outside, the cries of survivors echoed over communication channels. Desperate pleas for aid, messages lost in the growing chaos. On the edge of numb space, a lone envoy from the younger species known as the Sorelli approached the Indomitable's communications array. "Why destroy Arze Prime?" she asked, voice trembling. "They were our allies. We believed Earth was finished." Captain Val's eyes hardened. "Allies abandoned us. The Congress chose to forsake Earth. We chose to survive. This is our reckoning." The envoy hesitated, then transmitted a single word back to the Congress: "Prepare." As the Indomitable disappeared into the void, the galaxy held its breath. Humanity's return was no longer a rumor. It was an undeniable, echoing Titan's roar, one that would shake the foundations of every world. The void was silent, but the Indomitable's bridge buzzed with grim determination. Captain Marcus Fall stood at the helm, watching the holographic star map flicker with new targets, systems that had voted to abandon Earth, planets ripe for retribution. "Status report," Vol demanded. Lieutenant Erin Kess checked her console, fingers dancing over the controls. Fleet integrity at 98%. Weapons fully charged. Cloaking systems operational. Enemy patrols minimal in target sectors. Vol nodded. "Good. We strike swift and without mercy. Show them what happens when humanity is betrayed." Elsewhere, across the fleet, massive warships rumbled to life. Engines hummed with otherworldly power, fusion cores fueled by scavenged alien tech, integrated with human ingenuity. The ships moved as one, a deadly ballet choreographed by decades of exile and pain. The first strike was surgical. On the mining world of Valtor, home to the militant Drakari species, entire orbital defenses were annihilated before a single shot from their ground forces could fire. The Terran fleet's weapons, charged particle beams, electromagnetic pulses, and newly engineered gravitic torpedoes, overwhelmed the enemy with terrifying efficiency. On the surface, panic erupted. Drakari soldiers scrambled to mount resistance, but the human warships hovered just beyond range, raining devastation in slow, deliberate waves. Cities crumbled beneath the onslaught. Back at the Galactic Congress, panic deepened. Reports flooded in. Systems fell overnight. Fleets decimated. Entire populations displaced or destroyed. The once mighty alliance frayed at the seams. Counselor Umlera of the Varan species slammed her datapad on the table. "We must negotiate. There must be a way to stop this madness." But High Counselor Trevix was unmoved. "We betrayed them. We have no ground to stand on. This is the consequence." In a hidden chamber aboard the Indomitable, human commanders debated their course. Some advocated restraint, target military installations, spare civilian populations. Others, hardened by exile, pushed for total eradication of all who had turned their backs on Earth. Captain Vol's voice cut through the tension. "Mercy was the Congress's choice when they abandoned us. We repay it with truth, harsh, unforgiving truth." Meanwhile, a shocking revelation rippled through the Congress. A faction within their ranks, disillusioned by the betrayal of Earth, had begun clandestine communications with the Terran fleet. They provided intelligence, resources, even sabotage of Congress fleets. The traitors called themselves the Phoenix Accord, humanity's unexpected allies in the heart of the enemy. As the Terran fleet pressed deeper into Congress space, their message blared across communications networks. "We remember. We were forsaken. Now you will face the price." The galaxy was burning. The Galactic Congress, once a beacon of order, now teetered on the edge of collapse. Fires raged in the corridors of power as delegates shouted accusations and threats. The destruction of Urza Prime, Valtor, and other allied worlds had shattered the illusion of unity. Fear festered like a poison, twisting old rivalries into open hostility. Counselor Umlera of the Varan species tried desperately to broker peace. "We must find common ground before the Terran fleet extinguishes us all," she pleaded in a public address. But her words fell on deaf ears. The younger races blamed the elders for their complacency. The elders scorned the inexperienced. Old alliances crumbled. In the shadows, the Phoenix Accord grew bolder. Their sabotage slowed fleet movements. Their intelligence leaks sowed confusion. Congress security forces hunted for the traitors, but each arrest only uncovered deeper conspiracies. Among the turmoil, a lone figure moved with deadly purpose. Cal Ren, a Cirella peace envoy captured during a failed mission to negotiate with Earth. Imprisoned aboard the Congress capital's fortress station, Cal endured harsh interrogations, but refused to betray his species or ideals. From his cell, Kale sent a secret message, a warning that the war was not merely retaliation, it was a reckoning, an indictment of the Congress's betrayal. Outside, the Terran fleet pressed their advantage. Space battles erupted near the colony of Virith Prime, where a coalition of former Earth allies had rallied to defend the Congress. The fighting was brutal and unforgiving, fleets clashing in swirling storms of plasma and missiles. Despite their numbers, the coalition was shattered. The Terran fleet's technological edge and ruthlessness overwhelmed them. As Virith Prime fell, refugees fled in panic, scattering like ghosts through the void. In the chaos, Cal's message reached sympathetic Congress members. Doubt began to fester. Had they truly condemned a desperate people to extinction? Was there justice in their condemnation, or merely fear? But for Captain Marcus Vall, there was no room for doubt. "We are not saviors," he told his officers. "We are judgment." He authorized a new phase of the campaign. Strike not only at military targets, but at the very heart of Congress power. The ruling families, the cultural pillars, the symbols of authority. Within the fractured Congress, some whispered of surrender. Others swore revenge. The war was no longer a battle for survival. It was a war for the soul of the galaxy. The ancient world of Serethis Prime, crown jewel of the Galaxiarch dynasty, glittered like a jewel in the void. Its towering spires, priceless archives, and sanctuaries had stood untouched for millennia, symbols of civilization and heritage. But now, those symbols were targets. The Terran fleet descended with ruthless precision. Captain Marcus Vall's voice crackled through the fleet's comms. "This is not merely war. This is reckoning. Every monument, every archive, every throne must fall. We erase their legacy as they try to erase ours." Orbital bombardments tore through the skies. The grand libraries, repositories of ancient wisdom and culture, became blazing infernos. Temples crumbled under relentless assault. Palaces, once bustling with the echoes of political power, were reduced to rubble. On the surface, the Serethians' cries pierced the chaos. Religious leaders, their faces streaked with soot and tears, pleaded for mercy. "Spare our histories, our faith," they begged. "We offer surrender." But Vall's reply was cold. "Your faith abandoned Earth when it was needed most. Now your gods fall silent." Refugee ships swarmed the nearby systems, carrying survivors desperate to escape the storm. Tales of horror spread, of entire families lost, of scholars who perished trying to save their sacred texts. Amid the ruins, resistance cells formed, fragments of once great civilizations rallying beneath a banner of survival. But the Terran fleet's reach was vast, their strikes swift and unforgiving. The Council of Cinders, Earth's shadow leadership, broadcasted a chilling message galaxy-wide. "You erased our home. You fractured our families. You left us to die. This is the price. You will learn the true meaning of Forsaken." Across the galaxy, the broadcast ignited despair and fury. Some species reeled, questioning their roles in Earth's abandonment. Others steeled themselves for the darkest fight yet. Within the Congress chambers, the power vacuum deepened. The fall of the Galaxiarch dynasty sent shockwaves through political alliances. Factions jockeyed for control, while countless worlds reconsidered their allegiances. Yet amid destruction, a fragile hope flickered. Whispers spread of a possible peace envoy from humanity, an offer that could end the war if only the Congress dared to listen. Captain Vall ignored the rumors. "Their peace is weakness," he declared. "Only total justice will forge the future." As Serethis Prime smoldered beneath a blood-red sky, the galaxy braced for the reckoning to come. The hall was cavernous and silent, a stark contrast to the roaring chaos outside. It was a neutral chamber, deep within the ruins of a once glorious Congress space station, now scared by battle and neglect. Delegates from fractured worlds gathered reluctantly, faces drawn with exhaustion and fear. At the center stood Ambassador Celine Cade, the last surviving human diplomat. Once dismissed and scorned, now she held the attention of an entire galaxy. Her voice was steady, but carried the weight of 1,000 lost souls. "You have seen what we endured," she began, eyes sweeping across the assembly. "Our home was left to die. Our people scattered to the stars, hunted like ghosts, and yet we did not surrender." Celine paused, letting the silence deepen. Images flickered on the massive holoscreen behind her, ghostly visions of Earth's final days. Burning cities, shattered families, desperate battles. "We survived not by divine providence or mercy, but by sacrifice and will," she said. "We rebuilt in the darkness. We forged weapons from the wreckage of war. We waited for the moment to reclaim our place." Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Shock, sympathy, and unease. A young delegate from the Zelfar species stood, voice trembling. Why such devastation? Why the eradication of entire worlds? Celine's eyes met his, fierce and honest. "Because you abandoned us. Because when we called for help, the Congress turned its back. Because survival demanded we be more than what you thought us." She revealed a hidden truth. Humanity's resurgence was aided not just by their own ingenuity, but by an ancient alien technology unearthed in the forgotten corners of space, technology that had turned the tide, granting humanity a weapon unlike any other. Some delegates gasped. Others whispered accusations of forbidden power. "Understand this," Celine continued, voice rising. "We do not seek endless war. We seek justice. We seek recognition. We seek to be seen as more than the ghosts you wish to bury." Then, before questions could erupt, her comm unit crackled. A sharp, urgent message. Her expression darkened. "I must go." As she exited the chamber, whispers swirled. Had humanity softened? Was peace possible? Outside, shadows moved swiftly. Celine was intercepted by masked operatives, agents loyal to factions within the Congress who feared her message and what it might inspire. A tense confrontation ensued, a desperate struggle to silence the voice of humanity's truth. But before they could capture her, Celine vanished into the labyrinthine corridors of the station, leaving behind a single message. The last word has not been spoken. Meanwhile, aboard the Indomitable, Captain Vol received news of the disruption. He frowned. She was more than a diplomat. She was a beacon. Keep her safe. The war is far from over. Far beyond, the galaxy braced once more. Humanity's voice had pierced the veil of hatred and fear. And now, the final act was drawing near. The battlefield was a swirling tempest of fire and metal. The shattered remnants of Congress fleets clashed desperately against the relentless advance of the Terran fleet. Stars burned in the void as missiles streaked and plasma bolts erupted like deadly fireworks. But amid the chaos, something unexpected stirred. From the depths of the conflict, Ambassador Celine Cade emerged, not as a captive, but as a leader. Hidden by loyal allies, she had slipped away from the Congress Fortress Station and now commanded a small, diverse fleet of defectors, aliens and humans united by a shared desire to end the bloodshed. Her voice rang out across the comm channels. "Enough. This war serves no one. We are all forsaken in the eyes of hatred and vengeance. It is time to rebuild." Captain Marcus Vol listened, his jaw tight. For years, he had waged war with a single purpose: justice for Earth. But hearing Celine's words, a flicker of doubt sparked within him. The fleet slowed, weapons powered down. The great warships hovered in uneasy silence. In the Congress chambers, fracturing factions debated feverishly. Could peace be brokered with a force that had brought entire worlds to ruin? Could the Terran fleet be trusted to cease their assault? Celine and Vol arranged a historic parley aboard the neutral station Helion's Rest. The moment was tense, the air thick with decades of pain and suspicion. Vol's voice was low but resolute. "We came to reclaim what was taken, our home, our dignity. But I will listen." Celine stepped forward, hope and sorrow in her eyes. "We can build a future where humanity and all species stand together, not as enemies but as allies. But it requires truth, justice, and accountability. For hours they spoke, negotiating terms, offering concessions, acknowledging failures. The Phoenix Accord emerged as the bridge between the Terran fleet and the fractured Congress, pushing for reforms and reparations. Slowly, the fires of war cooled. Planets scared by conflict began tentative reconstruction efforts. Refugees returned to rebuild shattered homes. The ghosts of forsaken worlds whispered of remembrance, not revenge. Yet the cost was immense. Billions lost, cultures altered forever. But from the ashes, a fragile hope took root. In the final moments, Captain Vol stood on the Indomitable's bridge, staring out at the stars. "The galaxy changed us," he said softly, "but humanity's spirit endures." Celine's voice came over the comms, steady and strong. "And together, we will ensure it never fades again." The Helian Accord was rewritten, not as a treaty of fear and betrayal, but as a pact of unity and vigilance. Earth, once forsaken, was no longer alone.